All right. Well, enough of that. We've had our dance party. We've had our fun. At least I was having fun. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Welcome to Smart Business, Smart Database. This is going to be a fun class. I've been spending a lot of time preparing this, getting ready for today. Super excited to be here with all of you through Zoom so that we can reach all of our fun agents and offices all across the beautiful state of Utah. So wanted to take a second before we dive into the curriculum and just kind of get an idea for who's in the room. So come off of mute, share your cameras. I want to see those smiling faces. Tell me who you are and what you came here to learn today.
Hey guys, my name is Brittany Quinton. I am Joe Reardon's assistant, and I wanted to get more clarity on, I'm building out like checklists and systems, and I wanted to get more clarity and see if I can get some better ideas of how to build ours out.
Okay, so building out some systems and checklists to make sure you have an awesome client experience. Love it. What else?
Jordan, you know me, Chris Bradford here in KW Success Layton. And I'm here with a handful of agents. We're ready to soak this up. Excited to figure out how to make our database the best part of our tool set.
Yes. Love it. What else? No one else is in the room. Brittany and Chris, that's it.
I am. I'm in the same boat with Chris.
Awesome. What about those Park City people up there? I see you guys.
We are here, Jordan. We have the whole gang here.
I knew my Park City crew wouldn't let me down. What are you guys looking to learn up in Park City?
This is Adam Spade. Just started uploading all my contacts to command, and I've been through the training and just trying to understand or be able to benefit from everything command offers and smart plans. So just beginner level, but to see what is offered.
Love it. So we're getting organized, getting purposeful around our database. Awesome. Is there anything else you guys are hoping to get out of today?
Can you hear me, Jordan?
I can.
So I would say I'm going to speak for the room as far as what I think frequently asked questions are here. And I would say it is the 3 to 5 fundamental things we need to be doing in our database every day.
Beautiful. So
it's kind of that feeling like, I don't know what to do.
Let me ask you a question, because I think that's a great point, Kimber. Do any of you, or is it just me that feels this, do any of you feel like there's so many things you could do in a day, and there's so many things you could do with your database and to market and all of these things, that you kind of get lost in like, okay, I could do 100 different things. What should I do? Is that just me, or is anyone else in that bucket too? Drop a yes in the chat box if you would say that applies to you. Okay, well, I've got a few of you. There's a book. Here's your book recommendation for the day, The Paradox of Choice. It's written by Barry Schwartz. It's how the culture of abundance robs us of satisfaction and why more is less. It's a great book. If you're feeling that and you are looking to simplify and kind of bring things into perspective, we're going to talk about that today. But I think in all areas of life, being able to really look at that and kind of bring the choices back down to like what really matters can be very beneficial. So with that, we're going to jump in and get started. So today we're here, Smart Business, Smart Database, know who your customers are and how to cultivate a meaningful relationship with them. So I'm your instructor. I'm Jordan Larson, the Regional Technology Trainer for KW Utah. I've been a full-time real estate agent. I've been an agent on a team. I've been an assistant team leader, now the Regional Technology Director. I've also been a Director of Career Development. I've worked up in our Park City office. I've worked in our Orem office. I've visited a lot of the other offices. I've kind of done a little bit of everything and a lot of everything. So I've got a lot of different backgrounds and insights. And I want today to be very interactive. So we're going to go through these slides and kind of talk about this, what a smart database is, what a smart business is, kind of some of the fundamental key principles, the things you really need to focus on to develop and build that smart database and smart business over the next however long you want your business to run for. And then after the first hour, you're going to actually jump in with each one of your market center tech trainers in your office if you're there, and they're going to help you actually implement what we talk about today. So if you do have any questions or you're looking on how do I actually go accomplish what we're talking about, that's what hour 2 of today's training is all about. So you've got amazing market center tech trainers in each and every one of your offices. They're some of my favorite people on planet Earth. So if you don't love them, then we have a problem. Is that a fair statement? Awesome. Well, diving in, what is a business? A business is the organized effort, an individual or group, to sell products and services for a profit. And we'd like to add the caveat that has customers. You can have a service and product to sell. If you don't have customers to sell it to, your business is not going very far. Is that fair to say? Awesome. What is a smart business? A smart business is a business that knows who their customers are and has a meaningful relationship with them. So based on those two definitions, how many of you would say you have a smart business where you know your customers and have a meaningful relationship with them? Any of you? Drop a yes in the chat box if that's you. Drop a no if that's you. Sometimes. I think that's very fair, Cameron. We may kind of know our customers. I'd be willing to bet most of us, we think we know them, but we probably don't as much as we would like to or think we do. So what's a smart database? A smart database allows you to have planned and meaningful communication with your database. And we're going to dive into what that looks like today and how you can actually fundamentally move that needle and be and run a smart business with a smart database. So the question is, why make a smart database the foundation of a smart business? One is to avoid the trap of today, and 2 is to take advantage of a predictable return on investment. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you would say in your business, you spend most of your time worried about managing the business that's right in front of you? How does that show up? How does the trap of today show up for each of you in your business?
Emergencies that are not really an emergency.
Fire, it may be a fire for somebody else.
Yes.
That shows up in your world. Okay. How else does the trap of today show up?
My trap of today I always think of is just the deals that I have going and spending all my time and energies and focusing on those. And then I think, oh crap, as soon as I'm nearing the end, yeah, I need to have some other stuff going. I need to be working more on my database.
Let me ask you this. How many of you does your business go like this? A lot. Because what happens, and I think this is very common for most of us, is we get into real estate and you start working, you're doing a bunch of lead generation and you fill your pipeline, and then you go, oh my gosh, I have to go write offers for these people. I've got to go meet at this inspection. I've got to get this appraisal figured out. And you start managing the business you've got in your pipeline. And then you work all that to the end, you get a bunch of paychecks, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, I don't have any clients to work with now. And so then you go back to lead generation. And so one of the goals of a smart database is to help you consistently stay in touch with and consistently add people to the top of that pipeline, to the top of that funnel, so that consistently you're putting deals under contract, you're adding new deals to the pipeline, and you're closing deals out. So it's a smooth and consistent flow of business instead of you playing that game of a bunch, nothing, a bunch, nothing, a bunch, nothing. Would that be beneficial to any of you guys? Or do you guys enjoy the roller coaster? Because I enjoy roller coasters, but not the real estate one. Awesome. Predictable ROI. How many of you, based on your database, can look at that and say, I'm going to make X amount of money this year? Anyone? Okay, well, let's go change that. So there's 3 costs associated with every customer. And this is where I think there's a huge gap, because a lot of agents and a lot of people in the industry love to go buy leads on Zillow or run ads and go generate a lot of leads. What's the biggest expense with getting a new customer? What's the biggest expense for any business is customer acquisition. It costs a lot more money to go get a new customer than to keep one you've already got, right? If somebody already knows, trusts, and loves you, is it a lot easier to do business with them or to do business with the person that's like, I have no idea who you are? So there's the 3 costs, right? There's generating the lead, there's converting that lead into a customer, and then converting that customer into a referral source. So many of you have already probably generated some leads, or you have some leads, you've got some sort of database. I think most of you probably are working at some level of converting those leads into a customer, then converting that customer into a referral source. How many of your clients in your database consistently refer you business? And how could you get them to refer you more? So 3 takeaways. Your database has the lowest lead cost, right? How much does it cost you to call your friends and family? It has the lowest conversion cost because they already have a foundational relationship. If I go buy a lead off of Zillow, they don't know, trust, or love me at all, right? We have 0 relationship. There's equity in a relationship. So the more time I have to spend and money I have to spend to convert that lead into a client and convert that into a closing, the lower my return on investment is. And 3, your database will generate the most amount of referrals. Any questions on that so far? Use the chat box if you guys got stuff. I'm watching it. Let's be interactive. So there's 5 steps to establish a smart database. Creating a healthy database is a process that takes both time and patience. Smart business owners know that growing and nourishing their database on a daily basis is paramount. I'm going to jump to you, Brittany. Will you read that Gary Keller quote for me?
Sure thing. Sorry, I had to find my unmute. So getting a sale today is incidental to me. I'm feeding my database and connecting with my database. What I'm really working for is the massive payoff tomorrow. You have to be there in the moment when someone makes a decision.
So how many of you show up in your business every day focused on getting the sale today, or focused on building a business that's going to feed you for the rest of your career? Do you guys understand the difference there?
Hey, Jordan, it's Jacob. Just being around a lot of business-minded people, I can attest to this fact that the most successful people in business are the ones that are always lead generating for the future. It relates to real estate especially, but just in business in general, the people that are looking forward to the future, it's very successful if you do it that way.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right there, Jacob. And that's what, to me, like when COVID hit, Gary talked about a lot of like make care calls, right? Like when COVID first hit, calling your friends and family and being like, hey, are you thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate was a very out of the norm question. Like if you called anyone in April of 2020, it would have been like, are you high? Like, no, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm trying to survive the pandemic. Can I leave my house? Is that an option? But calling them and just making sure they were okay, they were taken care of, and that they had and that their needs were met that is a play that you're not playing to win today, but you're playing to win the infinite game. I know I said I'd only recommend one book. I've got a second book for you. If you want to understand that concept at a much deeper level, The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek is one of my all-time favorite books. I would highly, highly, highly recommend going and reading that and understanding that. There's two schools of thought when it comes to business and life. There's playing a finite game and there's playing an infinite game. Now, a finite game is the idea of it's like a football game, right? Or a basketball game. You show up, there's two specific teams. It's very clear. There are clear rules on who wins and who loses at the end of the game. Now, an infinite game, which is what life is and what business is, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming none of you got into real estate planning to run your real estate business for 5 years, and at the end of 5 years, you were closing up shop regardless of how much money you were making. Is that a fair judgment to make? Kimber, let me ask you, did you get into real estate planning on only working in real estate for 5 years, and then regardless of what the income was, at the end of 5 years, you were done?
Sorry, it takes me a minute to unmute. No, my plan is to do the math that Jay and Gary do and just continue to scale each year, get better and better each year, so that at 5 years, I'm closer to that, overall freedom number for myself.
Yeah. Your goal is to build a business that eventually can fund your perfect life. And hopefully eventually leverage yourself out of it, but you're building the business to thrive well beyond you. That's an infinite game. So that's what Gary's talking about when he says to getting the sale today is incidental to me. I'm not going to do what matters. I'm not going to do what it takes to get the sale. I'm going to do what it takes to create a client for life. It may be a one step back to make a giant leap forward. Does that make sense? Okay, well, we're going to jump in. So step one is start with your income. So in order to build a smart database, in order to get anywhere with any goal in life, right, we have to know where we're going. There's a quote in Alice in Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat. Anyone remember him? Big purple pink cat sitting up in a tree. Alice is lost in the middle of Wonderland, and she asks the question to the cat, where do I go? What path do I take? And he goes, well, that depends on where you want to go. And she says, well, I don't know. And he goes, well, then any path will get you there. So if you want to build a smart database and you want to build a database that's going to fund your perfect life, like Kimber talked about, you've got to know where you're going. So what's your income goal? So I want you to all take out a piece of paper or your phone or your calculator and work this math. So work backwards from the goal you've set to determine how many people you need in your database, assuming that you get repeat and referral business from them. Add to your database over time by prospecting and marketing. So we're going to build the foundation of your database. Let's say you have 200 contacts, you have 500 contacts, you have 5,000 contacts. We need to know what our eventual goal is to get to, that your database can fund your entire business. So here's a few equations. So we're going to start with your goal gross commission income. What's your goal of annual gross commission income? You're going to divide that by the average commission to find the number of transactions or deals you need to fund your business. So if your goal is to make $1 million and your average gross commission income is $100,000, let's just play with really big numbers because that's fun, right? In Park City, they're like 100,000, that's small. Like you only make 100,000 a deal? I'm kidding. But we're going to find out what the deals we need, right? Then once we've got our number of deals needed, we're going to divide that by opportunity for conversion. It's about a 6.3% conversion ratio for average number of people in your database to one closed transaction per year. So you doing that math with me, guys? So if I need to close 10 transactions, I'm going to divide that by 6.3%. How many people do I need in my database if I'm trying to close 10 transactions? Anyone get that math? quiet bunch here.
Jordan.
Yes.
So I did 150 because I think agents always want to put 100, but 100 as a gross number, you're putting 100 as the number, your net number that you want. So I never put 100. That's just a little thought process. And then I divided it by 400,000 as the average commission at 3%. And so I had 12.5 deals. I rounded it up to 13. And then, so I have 204 people that I need in my database.
So Kimberly needs 204 people in her database at a 6.3% conversion ratio to close 13 deals and gross 150,000 in commissions. That leaves her about a $50,000 gap to net $100,000 after business expenses, commission splits, fees, taxes, and everything else. Does everyone have their number? Does that math make sense? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I love it. Kim.
Okay, I have a database. It's not really producing very well.
Okay.
And so I have this number that I want to make it produce well. That's why I'm here at this course.
Yep. So we're going to jump into that.
Okay.
We're getting there. Sorry, I got to move some windows around. So step 2 is to make it personal. How many, so like you were just saying, you have a database, but it's not producing very well. So we've got to stay in touch with our people in our database, and we've got to add value to their lives, right? Because if we're just showing up and just asking for business and not adding any value, do people want to continue to talk to us? I'm going to make the argument probably not. So we want to reach out to your database in ways with topics that appeal to who they are and are relevant for them. Personalize your communications. For example, share a customized marketing report with those in your database on the first of the month. So here's a little hint for you, and your Market Center tech trainers can help walk you through this. But I like to organize my database into different buckets. So each bucket, like luxury, VIP clients, investors, homeowners, first-time home buyers, I'm going to start to market and talk to those people in different ways, right? So we all talk about a 36 touch in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. We've got to make that personal. We've got to make it something that's relevant to them. So if I'm talking to, let's use investors for an example. If I'm speaking and sending content and value to my investor group, or people who are interested in investing, interested or already are investing in real estate, is that going to be a different or the same conversation as, let's say, a first-time home buyer? You guys are the expert here, agents. Are you going to tell your investors the same information and add the same value to them as you are your first-time home buyer clients?
No, but we could sure use a smart plan for all of those.
Absolutely. Smart plan, you're going to be texting, you're going to be doing all sorts of different things. But the idea is that, like my first-time home buyers, I could build a smart plan that anytime someone becomes a first-time home buyer in my world, they go through, I'm going to send them emails and texts about, hey, here's some cool information on down payment amounts. Here's how to get ready to buy your first home. Here's what credit scores need to look like. And all those different pieces of information that would be valuable to someone buying their first home. That same information is not going to be valuable to my investor clients. So step 1 of kind of organizing and marketing to a smart database is knowing who you're talking to, so you can make it personal. Does that make sense? Okay. Step 2 is reach out often, or step 3, I guess. So once we know who we're talking to, we're going to keep in touch through various touch points. So using smart plans to send out market reports, updates on the values of their homes, celebrating birthdays and life events, inviting them to events. I know most offices put on different events. There's a great one coming up. Anyone know what May 13th is?
Red Day.
Red Day. I'm going to go out here on a limb and say your office is probably putting on some sort of Red Day event. or some sort of charity organization, for some sort of charitable organization. Am I incorrect in saying that? How many of you have called or texted or posted on social media and talked about that and asked for either donations or help, or even just talked about what you guys are doing as a project? Would that not be a very valuable touch to your clients? So here's one. Here's an example. So in the Orem office, the project is they're partnering with Thanksgiving Heroes, and their goal is to feed 15,000, to get 15,000 meals, or excuse me, 30,000 meals for children in Utah County with food insecurity. So kids who are on the free lunch program at the schools, that when they go home, there's not food in the pantries. I know that's shocking. Like, that to me, I was floored when I heard some of these stories, but there are a lot of kids, even in Utah County, in an affluent area, that go hungry. And so the goal in the Orem office is to generate about $15,000 to fund and help pay for 30,000 meals to feed these kids after school and outside of school hours on weekends and things, and through the summer, so that these kids aren't going hungry. Pretty cool opportunity to call, text, post on social media, and reach out to my database and just say, hey, I'm wondering if you could help me. It's my goal to help feed 30,000 meals for these kids who are going to go hungry otherwise. Would you be willing to help me with that? I've got a couple options. I would love if you would share my post on social media. If you are willing and able to donate food or financially to this cause, anything helps. It's a big goal to raise $15,000, and I would so appreciate your help. Notice how I didn't bring up a single thing about, oh, are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? How many of you, when asked to help give back and donate and help people who are less fortunate than you, are excited about the opportunity? I know I am. I'm bringing up real estate to my people and to my database, giving them an opportunity to give back to the community, reminding them I'm in real estate without ever asking for business. But I'm omnipresent. I love the quote, you have to be in the way for good things to happen. If you're just simply in front of your people more often, your database more often, and connecting with them on a deeper and deeper level, when they are ready to transact business, it's natural that you're the only person they'll call. And likely you're probably calling them or texting them. And so it's just like, oh, hey, I've been meaning to call you. Any other thoughts on the reaching out often? We've talked about a 36 touch a lot, right? And that's what's talked about in the MREA. It's kind of a funny thing to talk about, because if you look at some of the top producing agents and teams, we talk about doing a 36 touch. Lee Stern and the Stern team, they're one of the top teams in the state here with Keller Williams. They're out of the Salt Lake office. Lee Stern, I was talking to her a couple weeks ago, and she said, yeah, no, we talk about running a 36 touch on our team. She's like, really, if you actually add it up, we're probably about a 57 touch between texts and phone calls and emails and everything else we do for our people. Yeah. She's like, I talk to everyone in my database in some way, shape, or form, probably once a month, once a week. Do you think anyone in her database has a shadow of a doubt that Lee does real estate? I don't think so. So reach out often. Care calls, market reports, events, birthdays, life events. Be specific to the groups and pour value. The question was, do we have a central location to send donations if they are in our SOI? That's a great question for your market center leadership. Every market center is handling donations for Red Day slightly differently.
Hey, Jordan.
Yes.
So Delise is in my market center. So we have a Venmo, Delise. I'll reach out to you. But I was just going to add a good opportunity to drive your donations as well, or your Red Day, is deciding like what you're going to donate and maybe throwing it out there to your database that you'll match it, because you're just putting it, like you said, putting out the good things that you're doing, and the good things come back. That's just something I've seen people do.
I love that. hey, I'm collecting money and donations for our Red Day project. Here's what our project is. Here's what Red Day is. Remember, I'm in real estate. Hey, everyone, I'm your realtor for life. I'm matching up to $1,000 of the donations from my friends and family towards this project. So if anyone donates $1, it becomes $2. If they donate 10, it becomes 20. 50 becomes 100. That can add up really fast and create a lot of momentum. So great ad, Kimber. Keep the information updated. I think this is probably the biggest and most never-ending battle that agents run into is information changes over time. Now, I can't remember the last time I changed my cell phone number or my email address, but I've moved 3 times in the last 2 years. So if I weren't a realtor and I had a realtor, they'd have to keep that up to date pretty frequently, right? And so create systems in your world, whatever that's going to look like. One of the easiest ones for me is as soon as someone closes on a home in my CRM or in Command for me, I go and update their new home address because I want to be sure I'm staying up to date and keeping them informed on the real estate where they live now, not where they lived a year ago. If I'm sending postcards, I want to make sure they're receiving them. That can be the biggest fatal flaw of a smart database is if you let information get out of date. So as you're making those care calls, it's great to just follow up and be like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, is this still all correct for you? I'm sending out an update on your neighborhood. I just wanted to make sure I sent it to the right place. Asking those questions and keeping your information up to date is a huge thing. Any questions there? Okay. And last but not least, leverage technology. Staying top of mind with your clients means touching your database frequently and purposefully. It may sound difficult. It may sound like a lot of work to do that. But by leaving the logistics up to technology, you can do what you do best, building meaningful relationships. Tools such as Command Smart Plans can give agents back valuable time by automating listing checklists, marketing touchpoints, and drip campaigns. So in the next hour, that's what your Market Center Tech Trainers are going to help you go through and build out. But it's great to step back and think about those 5 different buckets we talked about, right? Where are things you can automate with your luxury clients, with your first-time home buyers, with your investor lists, that you can leverage the technology to do some of that communication and value add for you. The easiest one for me to start is first-time home buyers. Like every first-time home buyer has probably about the same 10 questions, right? Would anyone disagree with that? They may ask it in a slightly different way, but they're probably going to ask roughly the same 10 questions. Well, what are down payment options for me? What does my credit score need to be? What does the process look like? How much does it cost me to hire you? All of those things you could build out into a smart plan that runs over a 2, 3, you can make it as short as long as you want. And then what I would do is every time you have someone come into your database or into your life, if they're a referral, if they're a friend, a family member, whatever that is, you just automatically add them to that smart plan. Then the smart plan goes through that 1, 2, 3 month process that you've already built out and designed. So every time, every person's getting that same high level experience without you having to be the one doing it all. What other thoughts do you guys have on leveraging technology? Where else could you leverage technology in staying in touch with your database and adding value? You guys are very loud and lots of ideas coming out of this crowd today. Ooh, I can barely keep up. Any thoughts? Everyone's looking at their Market Center Tech Trainer right now like, wait, what do I do?
Hey, Jordan,
Jordan.
it's Mike Carmody.
Oh.
I was just going to throw out one thing, we're doing is a email touch each week. We've been doing for a couple of years is a trivia contest. We call it Tuesday Trivia. We just send out a trivia question, have people answer it. When they answer, we put them in a drawing. It's a nice way to just gives them something fun to do. We get a good open percentage on our emails. It's a different group each month. And then of course we sprinkle it with, a vendor of the month type thing, but it's just a great, people get used to it. They know every, the second to last Tuesday of the month, they get a trivia. And then when they respond, they're getting into conversation. I can email them back. We can talk about business. That's been a mainstay. I wish I started that 20 years ago.
Tuesday trivia. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
A couple things. So Mike has actually taught our 36 touch class a lot in our office. And I would say a huge takeaway from him teaching that class is consistency. Like he drives consistency a lot when he's teaching. And I think that's a big reason why he gets so much traction is he's almost training his database of what they're going to receive. If it's that, if it's the trivia thing, if it's the postcards that he does, he's just very consistent. So let that be huge top of mind for anything that you do, I think.
Absolutely.
And then one ad, Sabrina, that's in our training room right now, she said just hiring a marketing company to really get her touch points out, specifically through social media, has been huge for her because then she can focus on business and on the conversations, and she's not focusing on, well, what do I need to actually get out right now?
For sure. No, I absolutely agree. And leveraging people and technology, I think, is huge. The only asterisks or caveat I would put on that is the more individualized you can get with those groups, like we talked about earlier, the better off it's going to be. So yes, there's going to be some general marketing you'll do to everyone. But the more you can dive into those different buckets and start talking to those different groups separately is a huge win. The other thing I would also challenge you to do is the more you can avoid an email, the more engagement you're going to get. Because I can tell you right now, like millennial home buyers are becoming the biggest group of home buyers. And I don't know about you, Kimber, but I hate checking my email. But if you text me, I will open it every time.
I am a master unsubscriber. No one's better at it than me.
So the more you can text and be purposeful on social media and personalize those and get them into the smaller groups, the more engagement you're going to get. So leveraging technology in that way, like I love the Tuesday trivia. What if you move that to a text message? You can automate that through command. You can go even build out a smart plan with your texts every Tuesday, every 7 days. It's going to send a trivia out. You can have your 30 different trivia questions there. And you've got all of that built out, but it's a text that comes to my phone. I'm going to see it and engage with it a lot faster. So just some food for thought. Okay, so there's the 3 levels of a smart database. There's the essential, the effective, and the exceptional. And we're going to dive into what those 3 different categories are. I want you to be clear that if you're in level 1, that does not mean you cannot move to level 2 and level 3. That's just the foundation. So start at level 1 if you're not even there yet. Once you move from level 1, then it's a goal of working towards and getting to level 2, and then finally get to level 3. Is there a way to text through Twilio to just the main phone number and command, not all the numbers? That's a great question, John. We'll dig into that after class. So level 1, essential. An essential level of a database is you've input the customer's name, contact information, and the type of business you've done with them in the past. You got to have a name and at least some sort of contact information to consider them a contact in your database. Am I incorrect in that? If I have Kimber's name, but no way of contacting her, is she truly a potential client in my database? No. So essential baseline, you've got to have name, phone number, email address, and a home address. Fair enough? Effective. You've asked the customer for their permission to contact them again. You've gathered their personal information and preferences, adding details like their birthdays and kids' names and ages that facilitate personal conversations, which gets a better response. You've grouped them in similar customers, and then you've used the information that you've gathered to have purposeful and consistent communication with customers that's relevant to their likes or dislikes, personal interest, and past interactions with you. Now, let me ask you this. One of my favorite smart plans is the monthly neighborhood nurture. Giving your clients a monthly neighborhood update on what's going on in the real estate market in their neighborhood is a huge value add. How many of your clients have ever looked at the Zestimate on their home on Zillow? Happens all the time. How accurate would any of you say a Zestimate is? kind of accurate, pretty accurate, not even close. I'm going to go with probably not even close. That's the opportunity with monthly neighborhood nurture, is it's essentially like a Zestimate. You're educating your clients with slightly more accuracy on, is the value of their home in their neighborhood going up or down? It's an opportunity to facilitate conversations. Now, here's the caveat with using any of those smart plans or anything like that. If you want an effective database, you've got to ask permission. And here's my favorite thing. So here's one of my favorite scripts that I love to use when calling my database about this. I'm going to role play this with you, Kimber. Hey, Kimber, it's Jordan, your favorite realtor friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Hey, can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
So I just got access to this really cool new system to help me educate you on the value of your home in Murray, or actually in South Jordan. You just moved. So I wanted to ask you, would it be all right if I just set you up on this? It's super simple. It's going to send you an email once a month with just a quick snapshot of what's going on in the real estate market in your neighborhood. But I'm trying to test this out to see if it's valuable to my clients. So my ask is, if it's all right with you, I'd love to set you up on this. And then can I follow up with you in a couple of months to just see how you like it? And I would love your honest feedback.
I get so many emails.
For sure. And I'm totally with
Like,
you, but you know me, Kimber. I hate junk mail, which I never want to send you. And that's why all this is, I mean, let me ask you this. Let's take a step back. Are you interested in the value of your home?
oh, yeah, for sure.
So would you find it valuable if I could keep you just up to date on what's happening with those values?
Yeah. I mean, how often am I going to get that though?
Once a
not- Oh, okay.
So once
That's
a
not
month.
too bad.
Here's my favorite part about it, Kimber, is all it is a quick snapshot. So you can open it, read it in 10 seconds, and then delete that thing.
Okay. That's
Is
not
that
bad.
fair enough? Because again,
Sure.
I don't want to waste your time, and I hate the big long newsletters that's like, I have to read this for 3 hours. No, thank you. But would you be willing to give me some feedback on if that information actually is valuable for you?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to get you set up on that today. And then I'm going to call you in a month or two and just see what you think.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I so appreciate your help, Kimber. And while I've got you, do you have any real estate questions or needs I can help you with?
No, think I'm good right now.
Okay. Well, you know I'm only a phone call away if you ever need anything.
Break script.
Break script. Thoughts on that?
Hey, Jordan, we have a question here in Park City.
Okay.
Hey, Jordan, on the monthly neighborhood nurture, for larger developments like Red Ledges or Promontory, there's a jillion neighborhoods within that development. Can you make those specific to a neighborhood within a development, not the development in general?
It depends on what the neighborhoods are there. And so again, I go back to, there may be smaller breaks within that larger development. They're working on improving the ability to control sizes of neighborhoods and things like that. Again, to me, if I'm educating them on the values have gone up by about this much or down by about this much, that's information I can handle, right? So it's not going to be exact.
Actually, buddy, in all seriousness, that's a cool idea. ... We always struggle for different things we can do.
Yeah. And so to me, like, again, I don't want that monthly neighborhood nurture to give them like an exact, like, your home is worth $485,000.72. Because I want to generally educate them on like, hey, look, your home's probably gone up between $20,000 and $30,000 the last 6 months. And then I'm going to call them every quarter and have a conversation, be like, hey, you've been getting my monthly neighborhood updates. What do you think? We start to have a conversation about the real estate they own. Very quickly, they may go, holy cow, like, yeah, I was looking at that last week. Is my home really worth that much more? Well, that's a great question. Let me dig into the numbers a little deeper. When's a good time for us to sit down and dive into those numbers together so we can see like what equity do you have? Because that's the opportunity, is once we can get into conversation with our people about the real estate they own or that they're considering buying, the more we can act as a consultant rather than a salesperson, the smarter and more effective our database becomes. Any additional thoughts on that?
So I was talking to one of our agents in our office the other day, and he's done business for a long time, and he had definitely a lull a couple of years ago, and now he's doing amazing. And I was just talking to him about, the starting out in real estate growing pains. And he just said, as soon as I changed my focus to that, my question is, what can I do to help them, and not what am I selling? What is it that I can do to help you right now? And he's like, sometimes the conversation is, he's like, actually, most of the time it's not anything to do about real estate. Sometimes it's just us catching up. However, that's helped him become more of that that investor, right? That person that's their go-to for investor conversations, for real estate, for, oh, hey, my kid also needs to buy a house conversation. And then you just become that expert that's top of mind. So in case there's anyone out there that's having that issue as far as like mindset, because anytime we talk about database and calling, then we immediately start feeling the sales rocks fall on our chest. So it's just interesting.
Change the way you look at things, and things you look at change.
Yes.
I think that is the biggest hurdle most agents have to overcome when it comes to working their database, is stop looking at it as I'm trying to sell and trying to get deals out of my people, and start looking at it as I have a lot of knowledge and information to share. I want to make sure the people who are important to me have access to that information and are making the best decisions for themselves. I've had friends who have gone and bought homes or sold homes with other agents, and they've quite honestly gotten the short end of the stick. And that pains me, knowing that to try and save on the commissions, they gave up massive amounts of equity in their home. So when you can shift your mindset from being a salesperson to a consultant, like one of my favorite scripts when I'm meeting with someone who's considering selling their home, or I'm talking to somebody about it, or buying, either side of the transaction, one of my favorite scripts to use is, look, I help a lot of people buy and sell homes. I also help some people not buy or sell a home. Because if it doesn't make sense for you, then I won't let you do it. Because I can't go to sleep at night knowing I helped you buy something or sell your home when it was not in your best interest. I can't tell you how many of my friends I've talked out of selling their home and keeping it as a rental property. Like, did I make a commission on that? No. But did I create a client for life that is now a raving fan? Absolutely. So the more you can start thinking and acting like a consultant, the more effective your database becomes. Is that fair enough? Well, level 3 of a database is exceptional. This level builds on level 1 and 2. An exceptional database contains triggers that let you automate communication. For example, this could be a note in your database for a client's mortgage rate. When you help them buy their home, then the database can be automated so that when interest rates drop to a certain level, the agent is triggered to contact the client, alerting them to the possibility of saving money with a lower rate. Here's a great option, right? So if you know when your clients bought the home, if you know back in 2016, rates were about 4%, then I should be going through and calling every single person in my database that bought a home in 2016 and should be about a 4% interest rate. My trigger is right now, I don't know if any of you know this, but Keller Mortgage is actually offering a discounted interest rate on refinances right now on a primary residence. So rates right now are floating around the 3%. Keller Mortgage is offering a 0.25% discount from the lowest available rate. So right now, if the best rate you could get out there is a 2.8, they're going to drop you down to a 2.65 or a 2.55. Like, That's a massive amount of savings. That's exclusive to Keller Williams agents and their customers. So if I was calling through my list of people who I knew were at anywhere between a 3 and a 4% interest rate, am I not adding massive value to my people because I know they're at a higher interest rate, allowing them to refinance and save $150, $200 a month on their mortgage? What would your guys' lives look like if your mortgage was $200 a month cheaper?
Hey, Jordan, question in Park City. Someone was asking what that discount was one more time.
So they're offering 0.25% on the interest rate, lower than the best rate they can get. So Keller Mortgage out of their own pocket. So you're still getting the 0+ mortgage, right? Where you have 0 lender fees, and they give you $1,000 back at closing to help cover the expenses of the appraisal and stuff like that. They're also offering a rate buy down of 0.25%. So that's taking you from a 3% interest rate down to a 2.75.
One more question. How do they contact, is it the person you're wanting?
Or to get it, yeah.
Or to get it?
Just reach out to your Keller Mortgage. So you can go to agent.kellermortgage.com and submit your clients through that portal.
Thank you.
But that's the level of an exceptional database. Now, let me ask you this. If you're having those conversations and your client, and you're like, hey, I just wanted to call you about this really cool opportunity to save money, I bet you a handful of those people are going to go, yeah, we're thinking about selling, but we're thinking about refinancing, but honestly, I think we might just sell. What would your life look like right now if each of you took 2 listings in the next 7 days? Would that be a problem for anyone? If taking 2 listings in the next 7 days is going to be a problem for any of you, I want you to go call your database, help them refinance. The ones that want to sell, just send them to me. I'll get their house listed and sold for them. You don't need to worry about it. I'd hate for you to work and make a bunch of money and bless a bunch of lives. Funny? Okay. Man, you guys are quiet. All right, well, to wrap things up, you feed the database consistently when you go out every day and just live your life. Take care of it, tend it, and develop it. I think so often we get concerned with there's so many things we should do and could do, and we're so worried about like having to try and be purposeful all the time. Live your life. One of my favorite things that the broker in the ORM office always says, he calls it the 3-foot rule. Like when you're talking to people, when you're within 3 feet of somebody, or 6 feet now because we're COVID safe, just have a conversation with them. Be real, be you. Real estate is naturally going to come up. Don't try and force it. Don't try and make it awkward. Just when it does come up, be a consultant. Share the value you have because you're all so knowledgeable. You're sitting on value that so many people could benefit from. Your business is your database and your database is your business. So as you're having those conversations, meeting new people, as you're doing active and passive lead generation activities, add those people to your database, start growing them from essential database to an effective and then to an exceptional level of a database. Pour into those people, add value, find as many ways as possible to just be omnipresent in their lives through social media, through text, email, phone calls, in-person events, and all of the above. Love on your people, pour into them, and your business will grow exponentially. That's all I've got for today. So I'm going to pass you all over to your Market Center tech trainers now if you don't have any other questions for me. Any questions, thoughts, feedback before we jump into your Market Center?
Thank you. Terrific. Excellent. You got
Thanks,
scripts in
Jordan.
writing?
Can you send us that slide deck?
Yes.
Thanks.
Jordan,
Yes.
we're having some requests here for your script.
You guys want my script? I don't have that written down.
He's like, you mean the one I just pulled out?
So the one you just made up right in the moment, if you'll just write that down and send it to us, we'd appreciate it.
I will do my best to remember what I said.
Thank you.
I got a question about that I brought up in the chat about the sending the Twilio text to just the main number. and not all numbers. People get mad when I send to all 3 of their numbers.
Yeah, I need to reach out to KWR. I'm not sure what the process on that is. I've never had 3 different numbers in for a Twilio to text. So that's a new one for me. I will get an answer.
What did you think?
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. No, thank you. I was with my tech trainer yesterday, and we asked her tech person, who said he'd get back to me, but he hasn't. It's been 24 hours. I figured that's a simple question, but it might not be available.
I don't know the answer, so I will figure that out.
Yeah, because I got in trouble by sending, hey, I've got 3 of the same text, and that's my business line and all that.
Awesome. Well, any other questions I can
Thank
answer
you.
for you guys before I hand you all over to your beautiful Market Center tech trainers?